Alright, I have futzed with all of the angles, and I know this may not be attractive, and that's just gonna be what it is. So, I was doing my morning routine, I know, pretty late in the day. Saturday, David and I get together and do like a little family meeting and have breakfast, and so I don't really do my morning routine until way later in the day. And I was kind of doing my morning pages, and I finally wrote the date, and I realized it was my BookTube birthday. And I've been thinking about creating a video kind of like the one I think I'm about to make. Okay, good. I will be sipping on, because I am a teacher, you will never see me do anything on any channel that's not like totally G-rated. So this is sparkling apple cider that we just happen to have, so yay me. And so I kind of decided I was going to look up the BookTube birthday tag, which happens to be by one of my favorite people, Average Joe Reads. I sure hope that's right, because that's going to be embarrassing if it's not. But I'm pretty sure it is. And so I wrote down the questions, and as I was writing the questions, I also kind of framed my answers around what I actually wanted to say about my experience and my journey. And like, be forewarned, this isn't going to be very booky. This is more like I'm sitting in my backyard throwing a tennis ball for my dogs, kind of talking about, where I've been and where I think I'm going, and kind of just using the BookTube birthday book tag as a way to, kind of frame that. So it has been 1 year. That is the first question, is how many years, and this is my first year. Number 2 actually is a question about how do you stay motivated, and I didn't. I crapped out around December, I think, because I remember doing the video in front of the Christmas tree. And I stopped on purpose, because when I dreamed up this book, Jenna, which by the way was a title given to me by a darling friend, I had a different idea in my head when I walked into it, and I based that around what I had already kind of experienced before with, well, Vader, where is it? Where's your ball? I had a moment with an education group. They were amazing. They are amazing, and the love is still there, and they're amazing, and I just got overwhelmed, and my job changed, and I kind of lost contact with that community. And that community meant so much to me. And I really wish I would have been able to do the work that I've done in the last few years about self-love and self-discovery when those opportunities were at my door. But I wasn't ready. I was scared of being seen. I was 60 pounds heavier, so I was always afraid that people were laughing at me, which is all in my head. I'm totally aware of that now. And so doing the BookTube thing was supposed to be a way for me to kind of reignite that community spirit. And it made me think about when Lee Bardugo wrote in Crooked Kingdom, I wrote it down so I wouldn't misquote it. The heart is an arrow, it demands aim. And I was aiming my heart in all the wrong directions with BookTube. There are moments where I'm like, gosh, I kind of wish I would have just been a little bit more intentional in some things. But in the end, it's I still don't know necessarily exactly what I want to do with this channel. And I thought BookTube would be a fun way to frame what I thought I wanted to use this platform for. And it kind of became about, I started worrying about numbers, and I started comparing myself to YouTubers who started right around the same time as I did, and who were deservedly so doing amazing. And I felt like I was stagnating, and I just really had these unrealistic expectations, And it was because my heart was aiming in the wrong place. I have created this channel for me to kind of like catalog the life that I'm creating for myself and for David and for whatever kids we may be in the future blessed to have. That's what this is about for me. And I love reading, and so I thought BookTube would be a great way to do that. But I wasn't ready for that. And so I took a step back. And that's part of why I don't edit, because I found myself not only editing my content, but kind of like editing myself in the moments and thinking about the outcome. And I was thinking about the outcome because I was thinking about the audience. You know, my dad recently, who's an amazing guy, he recently looked at me and said, "You need to stop worrying about offending people." And he's absolutely right. Like, I've avoided things because, even later on, it asks about bigger supporters. And I had worries about, like, gosh, if I choose this person, will that person be mad at me? And in the end, it's all, like, right here. So, like, I've learned how to be like, okay, I can recognize that, like, my voice is a little higher. I can recognize I'm a little excited. So, obviously, I'm anxious about it. So just relax and understand that, like, this is where the aim takes place. This is where the aim matters for me. Because then I can re-aim my heart. And my heart is not about numbers that aren't going to matter when I'm dead. My aim for this channel, my aim for this is all about finding a small group of friends that, like, I can share my struggle with, that they can share their struggle with me, like a group of people who I can support and who can support me, who I can learn from, who I can grow with, who can help hold me accountable. That's what I'm looking for. And my heart was not aiming in that direction. And so I had to take a step back in December and really do some self-care and reevaluate, because I know that external validation is something that I need to be careful with. Not that everyone has to be, but I do. Because that external validation comes with comparison. And it's at the cost of the connection that I want. So that's kind of like, that's what happened in December. And I don't know what's going to happen with this channel in the future. Like, I know it's not just going to be about books. I know I'm going to start talking about my classroom. I know I'm going to start looking for educators that I can connect with who can make me a better teacher, because that's exactly what my kids deserve, is me at my absolute best. And so I don't know, but I've been like, I can't remember where I got this from, but like, I'd had a moment in life in which I discovered that somebody said something about me that could have hindered a possibility. And at first, I was really hurt. And there was a lot of, like injustice and, like, how could you, in my heart. And then, I kind of thought to myself, I'm sure that there's times in my life in which I'd been disingenuous. And I kind of looked back and I realized that, like, I've been holding too high of expectation for certain relationships. And once I came to that conclusion, then I had to kind of, like, be like, well, does it really even, matter? Because, well, anyways, the moral of the story is life is short, and I really want to not spend my energy worrying about people who aren't going to make me better. And so that's kind of like why I took a step back, is because it was in my head I was making it something it shouldn't have been. And I'm happier now, and I feel like I can now embrace this channel and whatever it's going to be. Like, right now it's like 9 minutes and 30 seconds, and I'm okay with that. And I'm not going to edit anything, because this is for, like, the 3 or 4 people on the planet who are watching this going, that's who I want to connect with. So, and for me to look back on a year and realize the growth that I've made. So number 3 is 3 videos that I'm most proud of, and I didn't really take the time to go back, but I tried to think about the experiences and the moments. And for me, anytime David is involved in the creative process, that's like magic for me. We did that CD compilation, and it was just so much fun. I actually, so I taught high school, and I taught, it was alternative education high school, and these lovely, they were awesome kiddos. And so I can't remember. Oh, somebody sang Young Blood. They were singing Young Blood, and it triggered my trying to connect with them moment. And so like that string, like a spider's web, I have all those, and it was like one of those like connection moments where I could feel the vibrations. I was like, oh, I'm going to open up and I'm going to share this with them. And it really did a lot of good for our relationship, but not the way that I thought it would. I thought that they would watch it and laugh and enjoy it. And instead, they watched it, they pitied me, and then they kind of like rallied around me. Like it's hard to explain, but it was like one kid said, and it was just the greatest. He looked me dead in the eye and he said, "This is what you do in your house?" Genius. Just, man, those are the moments, where you're like, ugh, you're great. This is a great moment. So I think anything that David's involved, I think the editing stuff was lots of fun when David was involved, but if he wasn't involved, I think I got too much in my head. So that CD compilation one was fun. I think the morning routine one was fun, although I have not followed it in a very long time. That's just the truth. All right, so on to number 4, the struggle. And this was the hardest one for me to really reflect on, because it was like, okay, what was the struggle? And for me, like, there's this culture right now of limiting beliefs and how you should challenge them. And I'm all for it, 100%. And I'm also a type A personality, and I overgeneralize. So if you take that too far, then you kind of end up with this struggle of I thought the struggle was supposed to be one thing. Like, I thought, like, the struggle was going to be, I don't know. So the struggle it actually was the comparison piece was really hard. And I've already talked about, like, how deeply I wanted to connect with a few people, and I'm still not exactly there. And that's like the purpose, right? It's the whole intention. So then the struggle for me was realizing that I did not want to chase subscribers. The struggle for me was realizing that I did not want to script my videos. The struggle for me was realizing that all the advice that I was being given worked really well for one heart's aim, but did not work for my heart's aim. And so really realizing that I didn't want to limit my beliefs in myself. I just really wanted to limit my desires for things outside of me, outside of this. So that was hard. I've done work on self-love and getting over feelings of inadequacy that I have put upon myself that no one else has, and that's damaged relationships. And I'm really lucky to have opportunities to rebuild some of these relationships, and otherwise to think fondly of others. So, I just watched a TED Talk about a gal. I'll see if I can find it. And she says things like, she doesn't have stage fright, she has life fright, and I'm the same way. Put me on a stage, put me in front of a camera, and I'm perfectly fine. Put me in front of a keyboard, and I know exactly what to say. But if you put me in front of another human, it's not that it's hard. It's not that it's like, oh, it's impossible. It's just that it's a different level of effort. Number 5, I think, was like, like my favorite pieces or my favorite memories. And it really was creating those videos with David. We've done like some podcasts together, and, I'm so lucky to be married to my best friend. And, there's a lot of mythology out there that we base our lives on, right? And one of them is like that, a happy marriage is harmonious. And it's not always. I mean, it's a balance. Like, sometimes things are amazing, sometimes they're awful, and sometimes they're middling. And that's like, okay, so going back to teaching, of course, there's this idea that, like, at the very, very tippy top of every time you're being observed, like, to get an A in the observation, there's this thing you should do. And it's the idea of, like, living in B, like, living in, like, working hard, but visiting A. Because if you live in A, you're going to burn yourself out. I can't remember the point of that story. What was it? That's what I do too, is I totally just talk myself in circles. So creating videos with David was lots of fun. Number 6 is your biggest supporters. And this was a moment where I had to, like, be like, it doesn't matter. You're going to be dead in 80 years. Who cares? So I chose 2 people. I know lots of people have subscribed and lots of people have liked and lots of people have commented. But if I think to myself, like, who do I have, even if it's a small one, who do I have some kind of, like, outside of BookTube connection with? And for me, that's going to be Leah. Where in the World is Leah Jane? I will put all of her stuff there. She's an amazing story that like she's that story that when you discover and when you read it and you're super delighted. She's that kind of delightful. Just so emotionally mature. She gives the greatest advice, and she's just lovely. And the other person was Cindy from Cindy Reads, and I just love Cindy. I love her personality 100%, and I love that she can be in front of a camera and be as bold as she wants to be, and she's very socially generous. If you watch her videos where she's in groups, if there's like awkward moments, it's like her social skills that like smooth it all over, and it's amazing to watch. She's also just like genuine, and she's a real person, and she shares on other pieces, she shares the darker side of those feelings and the feelings of inadequacy. And I just connect with that so deeply, and I really appreciate the content that she puts out and the thought she puts in to the ways that she connects with BookTube. And yeah, I love them both. And there's so many, but I promised myself I'd limit it to 2. Number 7 is my favorite book that I've read this year, and I went with Past Tense by Lee Child. This is called Summer Teacher Brain, just so you know. I know I was like, oh, this is apple juice. It really is. This is just teacher brain. I turn everything off. It was such a great book. So I've been reading Lee Child since like 1998, and I have read literally everything he's written except for all of his short stories, which I own. I just have to sit down and read them. I think it was part of my BookTube Book Junkie trials. Rachel's adorable. It was a great story. It was exactly what I wanted, and it was new. And it's a great, he's an amazing author. I really enjoy him. I was at a B&B in Cambria, and somebody mentioned he wrote with somebody else and has books about like an English spy. If anyone knows what I'm talking about, please comment below and let me know. Number 8 is What Have I Achieved? I hope that I continue to ignore comparisons. I hope that I have some additions to that inner circle of people, that community. I hope that I've built towards something that ends with me being able to support a small group of friends that support me in that genuine community in a way that really like enriches each other's journey and makes the process that much more meaningful. I hope that I continue with my 3-time social media rule. It's not something that I follow all the time, but I have a rule where I want to only check all of my social media stuff 3 times during the day. And I will tell you, I can feel the anticipation, and I have to tell myself, I'm just checking in. I'm just checking in to see if, if anybody's reached out, to see if there's any questions that I can answer. So I hope I continue with that. I also hope that I can reconnect with my Edu tribe. I hope that I can regain that momentum that I was gaining in my professional life. Maybe, I don't know, maybe I'll keynote speak somewhere about self-care and trauma-informed practices and the importance of having hobbies. I don't know. Who knows? But whatever it is, I hope that whatever I'm putting out there is genuine. I hope whatever I put out is kind, and I hope whatever I put out is helpful, even if it's just to me looking at it a year from now. So, happy BookTube birthday to me. Happy, who knows what I'm going to do with this channel. Oh, I totally remembered the whole point of one story that I was building up to way back in the beginning, which was the idea that professional situation that I said was uncomfortable. I was really kind of I had a lot of feelings about it, and it was really sad. But then I realized, I can be just as happy as I was before I found out that information. That person really has no effect on my life, and I don't have to do anything to let that person know that I found out. I can just simply, make peace with that, understand that relationship is not what I thought it was. And that was actually an opportunity to re-examine, some relationships that I had some unrealistic expectations of. And so that's when I came up with this idea, and this might be the new direction of the channel. Jenna Cafe. At the Jenna Cafe, I serve Jenna. And if you don't like Jenna, that's okay. There's lots of cafes. So just go to another cafe. But Jenna Cafe is open. Take care of yourselves. Really evaluate what's valuable. Know that life is short, and embrace every moment that you can. And other things equally as cheesy. Happy BookTube birthday to me, and I tag all of you. Happy BookTube birthday to you.